What's up, Venice High School? We're going to do the second lesson in this little 4-lesson series, and today we're going to talk about purpose and this Japanese concept of figuring out. It's called a reason for being is the direct translation for Japanese. It's called Ikigai, and I'm going to show you guys what Ikigai is, and we're going to do an exercise and make an art piece around it. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit about purpose. It's going to be really short and really simple. And purpose can sound like a big word, and it can be like a really big concept. And like people can like take a lot of time, and like try and think about, well, what's my purpose to living and life and yada yada yada. And it could be like a big topic, and it can seem a little intimidating. But for me, I tried to figure out like what's the easiest way to figure out what a purpose for your life could be. And it's a pretty simple method, and I made it up, but it's really easy. All you have to do is think about your life and what you've experienced in it, and then how you can find a purpose is you take all the things that you really enjoyed and loved, and then you find out what those things are, and then your purpose would be to increase those things, like to have those things for more people. Like if you really enjoy something and you thought other people would feel the same way about it, your purpose could just be increasing that feeling or that idea for other people. So if you really like kindness, then it's like be kind to other people and increase that in the world that you're around, and increase that for the generation that's going to come after you. And then the other idea is simply taking what you didn't like about life so far and trying to minimalize that kind of thing. And like when people don't listen to you, if that's something you don't like, then try and like get rid of that for everyone else in the generation that comes behind you, and try and create a world that kind of is more able to listen to people and understand people. So yeah, that's like a really simple way to look at it. But the more complex way to look at it is this thing called Ikigai, which comes from Japan, and we're gonna take a look at it. But basically, it's like a complex. It's like a Venn diagram, which I hope you guys are familiar with in like math. Those circles that are intersected. And it's a Venn diagram, and inside the Venn diagram, there's different questions or words that you answer or make a response to, and then you can find what they call your Ikigai based on your answers to those questions. And it could be a really helpful tool in like examining things about your life, like your job and like your passion and like other things. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to go to another screen, and then I'm going to go through it with you. What you're going to need to make the art piece that's going to go along with this Ikigai thing is there should be a handout attached to this video, and then you're going to print that out, or hopefully you can have a printer at your house or something, but hopefully print that out. And then you're just going to need like some kind of like art utensils or like some art materials, either like pencils and colored pencils, crayons, markers, paint, whatever you have with you that you want to use and that's easy for you to get a hold of. And then we're going to make a little piece of artwork, and all you're going to need is print out the handout that should be attached. And then you're going to need another piece of paper or canvas or anything that you can draw, color on, paint on, anything that you want to use as a material. And yeah, we're going to walk through it, and I'm going to shoot you guys off to this next little scene, and then we'll get to it. Alright guys, so now we're looking at what Ikigai looks like. Basically, it's a Venn diagram, and I hope you guys know what those are by now. I'm pretty sure you guys have covered that in math. But it's a Venn diagram with 4 different questions. I think I might have said 3 in the previous section, but it's 4. Um, and so what we're going to do now in this first step is try and answer these questions. And they're pretty obvious questions. I think you can understand them. One of them is what can you be paid for? The other one's what the world needs. One's what you love and what you're good at. They're clear questions, but your answer to these questions can kind of be hard. So if you need help coming to an answer for yourself that's like meaningful and honest, there's a couple things you can do. You can try and just answer it by yourself if you feel like you know yourself pretty well and you already know what your answers to these questions are. But if you don't feel like you can answer these questions well, then I would suggest either talking to your friends or family, someone who knows you and can kind of help you fill these out. So, basically, what I want you guys to do is try and fill out these answers. And, like I said, talk to people. You can go online and, like, Google, like things that you think might be the answer, and you can look at them and understand more about them and see if they really fit. But yeah, basically you're gonna fill these out, and I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna fill it out now, and you guys can just watch or whatever. But for me, what I think I'm good at is writing. Right? I like expressing myself, so I'm gonna put writing. And that's what I think I'm good at. And then, what do I love? What do I love? I would say there's a lot of things, but you can write multiple answers to each question. So one of them is going to be friends, art, I want to say like wisdom, or like learning new things, helping people, and what else? Music. Alright, and then for what the world needs, I'm gonna say contentment. And contentment is just being like okay with how things are going, or like having a sense of like gratitude. So contentment, I would also say the world needs, I would say it needs economic help, or in other words, I think the world needs more jobs for people who are unemployed. Jobs, or employment. And what can I be paid for? This one's kind of difficult to me, and the way I think it's difficult is because I think you can get paid for a lot of different things, but I would say, to kind of make it easier to answer, I would say what is the most realistic thing you can be paid for? Like, what are you most certain that you could be paid for? And for me, since I am an art student at UCLA, I would say art, and maybe arts education, and or working at a gallery. I've done this before, so mine went really quickly, but I'm gonna give you guys a break. Pause the video now, and then we're gonna pick up, and then we're gonna finish the next few circles, or the next sections, which are passion, profession, mission, and vocation, and then we're gonna get to the center, which is your ikigai. So pause the video now, and then we'll pick back up. Alright, hopefully you guys have filled out your answers, and now we're going to look at filling in the next few circles or the next few segments. And I'm going to start with profession, which is the intersection or the blending of what I can be paid for and what I think I'm good at. So if I think I'm good at writing and I know I could be paid for arts education, and working at a gallery, then I would say if I'm good at writing and I also studied art, then maybe I can get paid I can have a profession that's like a art critic, because those are people who write about art. I would also say an artist, because artists have to write about their work usually. So artists, and those are, I'm gonna just leave it there. Those are two options for a profession. And then a vocation is, in this context, is something you can be paid for and also what the world needs. So if I can get paid for art, and I think the world needs contentment, I can make like art that's about how to be content. So I could say for vocation, art about reaching contentment. Alright, and then I also put in what the world needs, employment. And I also want to run an art gallery. I think I mentioned that before in the last video. So I could say, own an art gallery. And then I can hire people. And that helps with people being employed. Own a art gallery. Alright, and then we're going to move on to mission. And mission is what the world needs and what you love. So if I put wisdom is a thing I love, and I also put the world needs contentment, then I would say maybe teaching or helping people reach contentment. Alright, and then for the second to last, we have passion, which is what you love and what you're good at. So if I think I'm good at writing, and I love friends, art, wisdom, helping, and music, one of my passions could be songwriting, because it blends music with writing. But I'm not necessarily a great musician, so it's a passion. Like, I can't get paid for it because I don't think it would be great music, because I haven't tried to make music a lot, but it's something I enjoy. So I'm gonna put songwriting as a passion. So the passion is really something that you would enjoy doing, something that you love, and that you're also good at. So songwriting, but it won't really get you paid. Songwriting. I like writing, and I like art, so poems or poetry. That could work. And I'm gonna leave that there for now. And then this is the kind of the grand finale. You're gonna take all of these things, and you're gonna see where they all intersect, like where do they all work. You can do this by just taking what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you love. And then whatever's in the middle, or whatever connects all four of those things, is going to be your ikage. So I have writing, and then I have friends, art, wisdom, helping others, music, and then I have what the world needs, contentment, jobs, employment, and then I have what can you be paid for, arts education, working at a gallery. So if I like writing, I like art, or I like writing. I love art. I can be paid for art, and I think the world needs contentment, jobs, and employment. I would think one of the things that fits for me is what if I did something that encompassed all of those things? And for me, I think my writing skills could transition into art. Is that's a thing I love, and I also think the world needs employment, and I also think I could get paid for writing about arts and working in the field of art. So I would say maybe starting an art magazine because that helps people get employed. It and it's what I'm good at because it's writing. So starting a art magazine because I can hire people to work at the magazine, so it helps with what the world needs. It's what I love because it's art, and it's what I'm good at because it's writing, and because I have a degree or I'm going to get a degree in art, it's also what I could likely be paid for. So starting an art magazine, and that's my Ikigai. So I want you guys to fill this out, and then the next step we're going to do is you're going to need a few materials. You're going to need a piece of paper, the biggest one you can find, or something relatively large. This is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It might be kind of small, but and so you're going to need a piece of paper, and then you're going to need 4 colors of either paint or crayons or colored pencils, but you need 4 colors for each one of these 4 circles, and then maybe a marker or a pencil to write with, because we're going to be talking about color and we're going to be talking about fonts. So gather all those materials, and then we're going to pick up and we're going to work on this art project that's going to take all this information and then turn it into something something that's artistic and hopefully relevant. Alright, so we'll pick up later. Alright, so we're back, and then this is where we're going to start making this artwork, and it's going to be based off that Ikigai Venn diagram. But for this exercise or this artwork, we're going to be thinking about color and color mixing, as well as how to cross hatch colors and techniques of how to blend colors. Color is a big part of art, and having a technical skill, or at least being able to experiment and see how different colors work together and blend together, is an important aspect of knowing what you're doing while you're making a picture or painting or drawing or whatever. So yeah, you're gonna need 4 colors, like I said earlier. My colors are going to be yellow. Excuse me. Green, red, and lastly blue. So those are going to be my 4 colors. You can pick whatever colors you want. It doesn't matter, as long as they're all different. It could be a brown and a white and a black and a pink. It could be anything you want it to be. They don't have to be these colors. Whatever you have on hand is fine. So yeah, what I'm going to do is make 4 circles. And you can make 4 circles either by using a compass. You could do it by hand, which is not going to be as neat. Or you could just place a circular object on the piece of paper. This is my piece of paper. You can place a circular object on the piece of paper. And you just want whatever size piece of paper you have. It doesn't have to be this big. But you're going to want to either make your circles relative to the size of the piece of paper you have. So you want the whole thing to be pretty much filling up the page so that you can kind of see and have space to write, because writing is going to be the second part of this. And yeah, so for me, I'm going to have a pot over here, and it's a perfect circle, and I'm going to use that to make my 4 circles. And yeah, so let's go do that. Alright, so here are my 4 circles. If you had trouble, or you're still having trouble making your circles kind of nice and neat, you can look at that Ikigai diagram and you'll see that if you start with the top circle, and then you make the bottom circle, the top of the bottom circle is going to be 1/4. It's going to be placed 1/4 or 3/4 below the top three quarters of the first circle. So in other words, you just drop it down to a fourth, right? So it's like not in the middle, it's like a fourth down from the first circle you made. And then these two side circles, they are going to be, the center of those circles are going to be at the intersections where the two top and bottom circles intersect on left and right. So they're going to be here, here, and the first circle is going to be near the top. It's going to be a fourth down, and then you're going to make the second circle, which is that one, and then you just put your compass here, or whatever, your hand here, or whatever, and then you go like that for that one, and then you go like that for that one. So, just in case it's still confusing, you're going to go like this. You're going to make your first circle, you're going to place it towards the top, and you're going to go like this, and you're going to make the first circle, and then that circle's done, and then you're going to go about 1/4 here, and then you're going to take that, and then you're going to place the top part of the second circle at this point 1/4 down, and then you're going to make the circle here, and then you're going to have two circles. Right now there's 4 obviously, but then you're going to make the center of the right circle where these 2 points intersect, and then you're going to go like that, and then you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side, on the left side, and do like so, and then you're going to have 4 nice circles. So yeah, now we're going to talk about color. So the thing that's important to know about colors is that they all go together to make something new. And that's kind of the cool part of colors. It's like so many different combinations of colors, and it's really kind of cool. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick a color for each circle. And what I think is a good idea is pick a color that means something to you, or that's relevant to you for each one of the sections. So for what you love, I'm gonna put red, because like red is for like hearts and passion and like stuff like that. Like I know you kind of already heard that, or you have some kind of like knowledge about color theory, which is kind of like about subjective color, which is like what color means to people. But like red, it makes sense, like love, red, Valentine's Day, what you love. So I'm using red. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this pastel, and then I am going to kind of do a crosshatch of red. And a crosshatch is basically when you take a line and you go, let's say you go vertically, right? Or if you go diagonally, you go vertically or diagonally, and then you go the opposite way in the same way. So if that doesn't make sense, I'll show you. So like a crosshatch is gonna go down this way, I'm going diagonally, right? And then you do a bunch of diagonal lines going the same way, like I'm doing. And then you go the opposite way, and it's called a crosshatch. And now you know what that is, if you didn't already know. And I'm going to do a little bit more. But that's what cross-hatching looks like. And sometimes you'll see in art, a lot of different artists use cross-hatching. It's a cool way to kind of like make fill in space. It gives it a little bit more texture, maybe, and maybe it's a little more interesting to some people because there's like more going on instead of being a solid block of color. It has a different feel and it has a different, it just has a different look. So that's my red circle. Then I'm gonna go with, what do I got? We're gonna go here and we're gonna do what you're good at. For what you're good at, I'm gonna put blue because if you're good at something, you're gonna be calm about it. And I think blue is a good color for calm, I think. That's how I feel about it. But think like that when you're making these, you know? Think about for what you're good at, what color makes you feel that that kind of question's being answered for you. So for me, it's blue. For you, it could be anything else, black, white, pink, whatever. But I'm going to do cross-hatching again, and we're going to do another way. I'm cross-hatching now, but I'm going to switch it up. And I'm going to show you other things you can do of how to blend colors. Alright, so I filled out the rest of these 4 circles, and then now we're going to work in the main area. Not the main area, we're going to blend these all together. But what you guys need to know is that you want to take a look at your diagram, and you should have this little section here. Kind of looks like a star or like a weird kind of star thingy, like a 4-pointed star. You're going to kind of outline this because this whole thing is going to be where Ikigai goes. Like, it's going to be the dead center. Like, passion is here, mission is here, vocation is here, and profession is here. But like these parts, they're kind of irrelevant. So we're just going to kind of outline them or do whatever you need to do to make sure that you understand that that this whole area is going to be the place for Ikigai. It's not just the center. Alright. So now we're going to do some, I don't think you guys might know. But for the sake of just pretending like you don't already know, we're going to see what does blue and green make? What color does that make? We're going to find out. Alright, give it a guess. Alright, because I'm going to put it on there. Alright. If you didn't know what like that color green and that color blue makes, it makes like an emerald color or like a tealish color. And I think you should all, I don't know if you guys know or not, but hopefully you do know. And if you don't know, it's all good because you're going to see it yourself. So what you're going to do, I did cross-hatching. That's what I want to do. You could use a solid color. You don't have to cross-hatch. But you're going to start to see how each color blends together. And then you're going to be able to remember exactly how to get to each kind of color you want when you have a limited amount of supplies or a limited amount of colors. And that's the basics of color mixing. So we're going to pick up when all this is done, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, which is going to be different than what it looks like so far. So, alright, so I finished it up. This is what it looks like. Now, I'm not liking the way it looks, and I'm going to show you guys a technique of how to blend colors. We know how to do cross-hatching now. It's pretty simple. But if you're using colored pencils, or if you're using crayons or pastels, or anything that's kind of like waxy, you can take a paintbrush, and if you have like some kind of like, what I'm using is called Gamasol, which is like a non-toxic kind of turpentine, and you might not have this obviously because we're in quarantine or whatever, but if you have like an alcohol kind of base thing that you don't mind using, or like fingernail polish remover, you could use that, just don't breathe it in. Or, stay safe while you do this. Don't use anything. If it smells toxic, stay away from it, or do this in a well-ventilated area. But what I'm using is non-toxic. But you can take this stuff called Gamasol. It's in this jar, if you can see. I don't know if you can, that's what it kind of looks like. It's clear. And basically, you dip it, you put your brush in it, dip your brush in there. And then you can go over crayon or pastel or oil paint or colored pencil or anything that's kind of got that texture or like that waxy fluid, and it's gonna like take apart the crayon or the colored pencil, and it's gonna like blend it together so it's more washy, kind of like paint or like a watercolor. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna show you really quickly on one color, and then we're gonna see what it's like when it's over. So we're gonna do this now. I'm gonna do the blue side. And see how it kind of just takes away the marks and makes it more like a blended, smooth thing. That's because it's breaking apart the fillers and the pigments that are inside the pastel or inside your colored pencils or whatever you're using, and then it kind of breaks them down and spreads them around. So it becomes more like a wash of paint, like a light kind of paint. But that's what it does. And I'm going to stop here, and then you can see what it looks like when it's over. And then we're going to get to the second part, because I know this is taking a long time. We're going to get to the fonts, which is going to come into play. Alright, so this is what mine ended up looking like. I did a background, and then I used some spray paint, and I spray painted Ikagai on there so I would know what I'm doing or something. But yours looks like how it looks like, hopefully. Hopefully you're at the step that I'm at now. The next thing we're going to do is add some words. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be cool, I think. What we're going to be doing is adding some text. Like whatever you written down for those specific questions that the Ikagai wanted you to answer, you're going to take what you written down, and you're going to take what you written down, and then you're going to turn it into a font, or you're going to put it in a font. But the kicker on this one is the font should be representative of the question or the answers to the question. In other words, if you were going to answer the question of what do you love, which is here, right, then you're going to pick a font that either, for you, right, resembles something about love, or it can resemble your answer to the question of what you love. So if you love football and that's what you put down, then maybe you could put a font that looks like the football yard line fonts, you know, where it's like 50, 40, 20, 10, whatever. Like maybe that is your font. Or maybe it's the font, if you love football, it's the font that like a jersey wear, like the font on a jersey, or like the font that you see on fourth down, third down, those sticks that the referee holds on, the linesman or whatever. Maybe it looks like that. So, in other words, all I'm saying is you got to pick a font related to each of the four questions or how you answered them, right? And why this is kind of important is because you kind of want, in art, it's a lot about meaning, right? And meaning is a big word, but basically it means like significance and like understandability, you know? So, if what you love isn't written down in a way that like looks like love, it's not gonna be that like articulate, or like it's not gonna make sense. Like if you put what you love and then you put like you never seen like horror movies and then like the letters like slashes, like someone got cut. If you put what you love, and unless you love horror movies and that's what you write down, like those kind of fonts aren't gonna work. And a lot about being an artist is being able to articulate what you're thinking and how you feel. And that allows the people who look at your art to understand where you're coming from. So, what you're going to do is 4 fonts that resemble each of the 4 questions or how you answered them. And then we're going to take it up another notch. And you're going to have your 4 fonts that you pick out. And I'm going to tell you right now, fonts are like, there's 1,000 gajillion fonts. But right now, if you have Microsoft Word on your laptop or iPad or whatever you got, or if you have Pages, on a Mac, whatever kind of Word document you have, there's the fonts tab, right? I think you all know that. You guys have all been using computers and stuff. So you go into fonts, and you have a whole list of fonts. But if you want even way more fonts to choose from, because they don't really connect with with what you writ down or how you want to answer the question, then you're going to want to go online, do a quick Google search or Bing or whatever you want to use, whatever. And you're going to go to one of these font websites, look for a font that resembles what you're trying to say or what you mean, and then you're going to pick that font, and then either you can hand draw or paint it onto there, or what I can also suggest to you is that you print it out, you make it the right size, right? You go on Word or some kind of document program, and you make it the right size, and then you can paste it on there, right? With like a glue stick or whatever you have going on. So you're going to do that, or you're going to draw on there or paint on there yourself the font. Then when I said there was a kicker, the kicker is you can have 4 fonts, but then they're going to change, all right? And you're going to have the 4 fonts, 1, 2, 3, 4. But as the fonts, or as not the fonts, but as the colors change or the segments change, you know how there's intersections, so between my blue and my red, there's a purple, right? In the purple, the font should be a font in between the blue and the red. In other words, the font in the purple section, which is between the blue and the red, should be a mix of both of those fonts, right? So if you have like a super blocky blue, like it's a block lettering, you know what block lettering is, hopefully. And block lettering is like anything like block lettering would be like the jerseys in the football team, right? They're kind of blockish, they're heavy, right? And then if you have like a very light fancy cursive on the red, then what you want to do is make a font or find a font, either one. I think it might be easier to make a font, to be honest, because there's so many fonts and it can be hard to track them down. But you're going to put a font here that answers the question of what your answer is to that specific section. And then you're going to make that in between the font. And then and then you're going to do the same thing for the rest of these 4. And in the middle where the Ikagai goes, you're going to have the font that is the culmination of all the fonts, right? It's the harmony of everything. So you're going to take the red, you're going to take the green font, yours are all different colors. But if it was me, I would take the font that I have for blue, the font that I have for yellow, the font that I have for green, and the font I have for red. And then I'm going to blend them all together into the Ikagai font, which is going to look like the middle ground between all 4. All right. So I have my fonts here. Hold on. All right. So I have my fonts here. I hope you can see them. I got for what the world needs, I used for myself, and maybe this will help you understand how you can pick a font. But for me, I thought, okay, what kind of font makes sense for the world? And I thought, the Old English, because that's kind of what they use on newspapers, and those kind of go out to the masses or like the world. So I thought that was a good enough reason to choose that one. For what I love, I put like no, this is not for what I love. I'm sorry. This is for what I love. No. This is for what I love. I'm sorry. All right, so this is for what I love. It's wisdom and art, right? And it's cursive because, see, this is the problem. Like, I didn't understand what I wrote, and shows like that I didn't do it the best way I could have done it, because I looked at the cursive, and the first thing I thought is, oh, this is what I love, right? Because it's in cursive. And like cursive handwriting is like, if you've like seen like movies and like, if it's a long time ago and they're writing love letters, it's in like this really nice cursive, and like cursive and love they're kind of together. I could argue that, right? They're kind of like romantic fonts. So I picked the cursive font, which you can't really see, but it's cursive, if you can see that. All right. And that's for what I love because it's in cursive and it's neat and nice and fancy, kind of like love or whatever. And then I did what I'm good at. It doesn't have anything to do with what I'm good at or the word good or like skill wise. Like it doesn't have anything to do with my talents, but it has to do with how I answered the question, writing. And so it's in the font of like a typewriter. So it makes sense. It's like reasonable, it's understandable to you and to someone else. And then for what I could get paid for, I chose like a somewhat handwritten looking font. It looks like it's done with your hand. And since I chose, my answer was art. It's an art related kind of font. Like it looks handwritten. I use my hand a lot. That's how it relates back to how I answered the question. So with that in mind, you're going to pick your 4 fonts, right? And you're going to think the same way I'm thinking. Hopefully you understand how I'm thinking. And then you're going to put them on there. And then you're going to make the blends of the fonts, as it were, you know? And it should be fun. It should be interesting. All right. So I finished mine. I cut out all my fonts. I put them on the 4 circles. And then I decided I wasn't going to go online and look for fonts that were in the middle. I decided I would do them by hand. So I did mine by hand. And for the intersection of what I'm good at and what I love, I put, since it's writing and art and wisdom, I put songs and poetry. I don't think I can get paid for that. That's why they're there, and things I don't get paid for. For things I can get paid for that work with what I'm good at, I put artist or art critic because I think I'm good at writing and I can get paid for that. And I also have an art degree, so it kind of blends perfect. And for what I can get paid for and what I think the world needs, and I said I think it needs like more employment. And so I put own art gallery because not only can I get paid because I have an art degree, but I can also employ other people, so it sums up both. And the text or the font or the typography, which is a fancy word for font kind of, is in between this font and that font. And all of them are like that. So, and then for what I love doing and what I think the world needs, I put teaching contentment. And I like wisdom, right? Or I love wisdom. And I think the world needs to be more content. So, boom, perfect. And in the very middle, I had to take all those things, right? All those answers and questions that I thought about. And I thought, okay, like, I took a very long time, or you might have taken a long time too. But I thought about it, and I thought that I want to be an artist who uses words or poetry. And then I would also like to be an entrepreneur. And that sums up everything. I got my employment and contentment because I can make art about how to be content. And I can also be an entrepreneur and employ other people. It incorporates writing because if my art is based in words and poetry, then I'm doing what I'm good at. And art is in there, it's a thing I love, and so is wisdom. And I think contentment and wisdom are kind of mixed together, so it works. And it's an art-related field, and it's art. So those are the things that I have a degree for, or I'm going to get a degree for, and can get paid for. So I'm finished, and maybe you're finished too. So if you aren't finished, press pause or whatever, and then I'm gonna pick up. And so basically, we just kind of want to take a step back and kind of look at what's going on here. Basically, Ikigai is kind of about finding a purpose in life, or vocation and passion and all those things that are listed on there. And you might have been thinking when you were writing down answers like, oh, I don't know this, and I don't understand, or I don't have a good answer. But any answer is good. And I would say any answer is good because whatever answer you gave, there's probably like a little kernel of truth. Like it's probably an honest answer and it's probably a little bit true, right? And let's say you don't like how it looks totally or the bigger picture, like you made this thing and you're not really happy with it, that's perfectly fine. As long as there's like a little bit of something you can build off of, like a little hint to yourself of like, this is what I might want to do, or this is what I could get paid for, this is what I love, whatever. That little thing that you kind of know makes sense to you can turn into, with care and consideration and like taking care of what you think might be something you're interested in, you can take that little small seed and build it up into something. And then you do that by, research. You do that by kind of meditating over it. If you want to pray over it, that's cool too. You can ask other people, get other people's opinions, talk to people about it. And from there, it's all you need to do and it's all you really can do. So at the same time, it's what every successful person has done. They think about it, they meditate over it, they kind of apply it to their life. That's what every successful person does do, and it's the only thing you really can do too. So not only is it proven to be successful, also there's like not much else you can do about it in the first place. So it's kind of like, don't stress over it, right? It's all you can do, and it's what a lot of successful people have done. People who have lived happy lives and achieved their goals and dreams and whatnot. So we're going to talk about the fonts too, and how that kind of relates to this whole thing. The fonts are different, right? There's 4 different fonts, which means there's like 4 different avenues of how you can approach this, right? There's an avenue of what you can get paid for. There's the avenue of what you love. There's the avenue of what you're good at. And there's the avenue of what the world needs, right? Those are all 4 things like in their own separate sections. But as you were experimenting with making the fonts, you kind of probably, and if you didn't, but I think you might have seen a little bit, that though they're far off from one another, there's bridges to get them all linked up. And that's what this Ikigai thing is about. It's like, some things are opposites in life, but the more you can draw out their commonalities, the more secure you'll be in understanding the opposites of life or the contradictions in life, right? Or the troubles that you might see. It's kind of like you just want to see how things, though they may seem different and far apart, and like since they're far apart, you think you can't get there. There's always something that you already have inside of yourself that's able and relates to the thing that you're trying to get to, even if it feels different from yourself or it feels unnatural to you. There's always like a bridge between things. Like, let's say you love sports and you're an athlete and that's what you love. You're an athlete and you love sports and you don't think art is for you or whatever, or you don't think science is for you, whatever. It could be anything that you don't think has any relationship to you. I think when you were looking at the fonts and seeing how you could kind of put them together, and what this whole thing is saying is that there's little different avenues of how everything relates to each other. Because things, though they seem far off, they can come together and they can be built closer together. And when you look at a bigger picture that seems vast and strange, but you can kind of piece together all the puzzles, it'll help you through life, and it'll help you as a thinker and as an adult and as someone who's about to graduate, or someone who's, in high school and about to live in the real world soon. So I hope that this helps you not be fearful of things you don't understand, and I hope this gives you a sense of yourself, and I hope it gave you some kind of seed of an idea of what you might want to be doing in life. That's all I hope for, and I hope you got something out of it, and thanks for being a part of this. I appreciate it a lot. All right, have a good day.